Hello everyone, good morning. I'm the organizer for the webinar. My name is Ishita Patel. Today our topic for the webinar is D365 Finance and Operation, Data Integration with OData, and our presenter for the webinar is Krupa Patel. Before we move ahead with the webinar, I would like to take 2 minutes out of your time and introduce our company. So we are Dynamic Stars, a sister concern company of the consulting services. We have been in the industry for over 15 years and we have been working with Microsoft partners, and we have been working with partners from 18 different countries and have been working with over 45 partners. We serve our partners with our D365 services along with Power Platform and technological solutions. So what we do is we are a partner-centric company and we aim to be one-stop solution for Microsoft partners. We serve them through entire D365 ecosystem. So these are the Microsoft Dynamics products that we work with. That includes ERP solution, that is D365 Business Central, finance, supply chain management, commerce, human resource. We also work with CRM solutions, that is sales, marketing, field service, and customer service. Along with that, we do Power Platform services as well. That is Power Automate, Power BI, Power Apps, Power Portals, Power Virtual Agents, Microsoft Dataverse. Along with that, we do Azure and Lifecycle services as well. For these products, we provide these services that includes implementation service, that is end-to-end implementation. For D365 Business Central, we have a rapid implementation methodology that we have made through proven practices. We provide support services that include solution maintenance and backend support, add-on development services, wherein we have provided services for add-on developments, provide support for add-on developments, and provide custom add-on development services as well for our partners and their customers. We do upgrades and system re-engineering services that includes moving from older version to the newer version. We also do migration services, re-engineering and implementation services as well. We do integration services. We have done various integrations from customer portal with vendor portals, mobile applications, and much more. We provide licensing and end user training. Apart from that, we do development of reports and dashboards through BI capabilities. So thank you. That is a brief introduction about our company. I would like to invite Krupa and take it over and start with the webinar. Over to you, Krupa.
Thank you, Ishita. So let me share my screen first. Yeah, so is my screen visible to you?
Yes, it is visible.
Yeah, hi all. Good morning. I'm Krupa Patel and I'm working as the technical consultant in a Dynamic Stars, and today I present the data integration with OData. So let's start. So basically I will cover here what is data integration, then I will explain what is OData, then we'll explain about OData authentication. Then how can we authenticate OData client in Azure Active Directory and 365 FNO? Then we'll see how can we create OData Action, and we'll see the demonstration of OData with Postman. And also we see the demonstration of OData Action with Power Automate Flow. And lastly, we just gone through the CRUD operation with Power Flow. So let's just start. So first of all, what is data integration and why do we want to integrate data between two applications? So the data integrator is a point-to-point integration service used to integrate data into Dataverse. So normally when you have an application, the data resides within the database of that application. But it can be that you need this data to be available in other system as well, because you need to be able to use this data. You need to be able to manipulate this data. And you need changes that are coming from one system. You need those changes to be applied in other system. That's why we will be using data integration, as you can see in this image, right? So now we came to OData. But yeah, before we came to OData, there were few things that we need to understand. First thing, we need to know what is an API. So The term API stands for Application Programming Interface, as you all aware. So if I can explain in one word, it is an interface. And when you talk about an interface, it is basically a bridge or a common thing, or you can say mediator, which talks between two different systems. So API, you can call it as an interface or a thing through which you can communicate from one system to another, because two different systems can be incompatible with each other, developed on a different technologies. So there must be some bridge or two different software or a application. So that is basically application programming interface, which helps in communicating between two different system or application. So now what is OData? OData is an open standard protocol for creating and consuming a data, which defines standard ways of exchanging data between system and exposing your data. And it is based on a RESTful API. So that means it supports HTTPS protocol, which is lightweight and also supports various formats like XML and JSON. And also, one more thing, OData requires asynchronous data retrieval. That means with an asynchronous process, the availability of a resource, service, or data store may not be immediate. Then it will also do CRUD operation. The CRUD operation are create, read, update, and delete. So their counterpart in OData word. So for create, we called post method. For read, we call get method. For update, we call put method, and for delete, we call delete method. So these four methods are the terms used in a OData, landscape when we talk about calling this CRUD operation. And there are more capabilities in OData when you query data, and you can use some filter condition to get more results. So before moving to query option, let me just touch base upon how this all is available in a finance and operation platform. So FNO is an ERP application, and it has a thousands of table, and these are highly normalized. So for example, your customers data is stored in a 10 different tables. But in order to expose your customer data to external system, we need a flat view, and that flat view in a D365 FNO is called data entity. So now this data entity is so so now this data entity you can consider them as a updatable view, and these data entities are exposed as a RESTful API via data management platform. So data management platform is nothing but the integration framework within FNO which exposes data entities to outside the world, and they can be consumed as a RESTful API using OData protocol. And when it comes to data entity which are exposed via as a OData API, they are specifically called as a public data entity in a Dynamics. So not all data entities are exposed, but all the public data entities are exposed via finance and operation platform. So let's just go through the query options in a D365 FNO. The first one is a filter. So you can use filter expressions in a OData request to filter and return only those results that match the expression specified. So you do this by adding $filter system query option to the end of the OData request. Then next is the dollar count. So it returns the number of records in a collection, or if the collection has a filter, the number of records matching the filter. Then order by. So here you can take any field that you want to order. You can also pass the descending and ascending for the specific field. Then next skip. It is used to skip the first n element based upon the value to specify in there. Then we have top. It is used to get the list of element from the top based upon the number that you pass in the URL. Then we have expand. So expand allows providing a multiple entities and entity sets as a response to a single service call. Then select. So it is a subset of a properties to include in the response. So we'll see in the FNO as well. And these are the filter details available in OData. You can apply this filter like for equals, you can pass EQ. For not equals, any, then greater than or equal, then less than or equal. You can also pass and or and not. And we can also pass the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, decimal division, and modulo. So now we'll see the D365 URL in FM. So as you can see in this slide that there is dynamics instant URL is which is mentioned in the first row. By slashing it with data, it is basically giving you the list of DMF entities. So this URL is explaining various entities, how it is exposed through OData. We'll see in the browser. Then second one is specifically showing only the vendor entity. And vendor entity means all the rows available through DMF, and those are denormalized row definitely. And the third one is like CRUD or OData approach to access a vendor entity, just like an SQL query where you put a select clause and you put a where clause. So it will return the only specific vendor number. So now we'll see in the FNO. So here you can see this. This is the D365 URL, and by slashing it with data, it will give the DMF list, like list of the DMF entities. And if you find any interesting entity, like here I'm passing vendors. So here you can see like it will list out the all the rows that are available in specific this entity. So you can see here vendor account number, then the all the fields, address, zip code, and all the rows that are available in this particular vendor entity. Then now if you want a specific vendor account number, so here I have passed the dollar format because I want the JSON format. You can pass the XML as well. Then in a filter, we are passing the vendor account number because I want the data of specific this vendor account number. And in a select filter, we just need to pass the field name, whichever field we want to showcase. So here I'm passing vendor account number, vendor name, and address description. So in a result, we get the only specific this vendor record USSI 006. And we are just getting the vendor name and address description because in URL we have mentioned that, right? So now, so here I am signing. So here I am signing from my. Okay. So here I'm signing from my credentials, right? But what if you want to use this outside the work? So for that we are using the authentication. So let me just go back to the PPT. So we just gone through this, and here OData authentication. So as I mentioned, if I want to use this outside the work, for that we are using the authentication. So all the new services launched under OData use OAuth 2.0 for authentication. So there are two approaches for the authentication. First one is a native client application that requires a username and password for authentication and authorization. Then second one is a web application confidential client where the authorization server assigns a confidential password to the client application. So with native applications, user will be required to change their password every time it expires, which is not the case with web application. So it simply uses an app ID and client secret key, which greatly reduces the overhead of maintaining the password. So whenever you enter the credential for authentication, it goes to the Azure Active Directory server, and after verifying the credentials, the Active Directory server authenticate it by providing an access token, which has to be passed in the header of the request, as you can see in this image, right? So so now we will register and prepare authentication in Azure Active Directory and D365 FNO. So first of all, why we need this? We need this step because we are going to create an OData client app, and it cannot be run alone. Actually, it will run in the same environment with Azure Active Directory and D365 FNO, which the authentication mechanism provided by OAuth 2.0 standard. And this step will make AAD to recognize the new app and provide the necessary app ID and key. And then we can use that app ID and key to sync the new app in a D365 FNO together. So when testing, we only need to put the credentials one. So it is a single sign-on. So basically, it consists of three operations. So first one is to register a new API in AAD. Then second one is we need to add the API permission, and the third one, we need to whitelist the new API in a D365 API now. So now we go to the Azure portal. So here you need to sign in with your credentials in Azure, and here you can see this Azure Active Directory. We just need to click on that. Here at the left pane, you can see the app registration button, right? So you need to click on that app registration. And by clicking on that, you need to click on the new registration button here. So it is asking for the name. So we just pass the name. Here I'm selecting the accounts in any organization directory. And here I'm selecting public client native because my new application written as a console application. And here we just pass the path. So now we need to register the. So we should get the result like this. Here you can see the client ID, object ID, tenant ID. We need to use this data for further. Like if we are using Postman, we need to pass this data. We will see afterwards. So now we need to generate this client secret key. For that, at the left pane, you can see the certificate and secret. So you just need to click on that. And here you need to click on new client secret button. And here I'm passing the name, and passing the expiry date. So that is 180 days. And I am adding this to our application. So we got the value of the client secret. So we just need to copy for the backup because it is for the one time. So now our second step is to add API permission to our application. So at the left pane, you can see that API permission. So we need to click on that API permission. And here we need to add a permission. So after that, we need to select Dynamics ERP. And here we need to select delegated permissions. And here we select all the permissions, that is full access, custom service, and OData full access. And we just need to click on add permission. So you can see, so our output should like this. And now the last step, we need to whitelist the new app in a FNO. So for that, we just go through the FNO link. So here we need to go into the system administration module, and in the setup tab we need to find out Azure Active Directory application. And here we need to click on new, and we need to pass the client ID which we have generated through application, Azure application. So here you can see application ID, that is nothing but the client ID. So we need to copy that ID and we pass it to here. Here we provide the name, and we provide the user. So we'll save it. Yeah, so now our application is ready. So let's just go back to the PPT. So we have done this all three steps, and now we come to OData action. So before we come to OData action, first of all, why we require the OData action? So you can use the OData action for the process integration. So for example, you want to confirm or invoice the sales order without going to FNO functional process. Then you can create the OData action for that. So if you want to execute some implement, or if you want to implement some complex transaction, then if you want to manipulate server entities at once, so you can use the OData actions. So now what is OData action? So OData actions in a data entities provides a way to inject behaviors into the data model or expose the custom business logic from Dynamics 365 FNO. And basically OData actions are built on top of the data entities, which can already be used to make RESTful API calls to evoke the CRUD operations. And OData actions are a way to add a server-side behaviors that are not easily defined as a CRUD operations on entity. So you can add actions by adding a method to the data entity and then decorating the method with the specific attribute, that is this OData action attribute. This is the most we need to pass on the data entity. So now we'll see in FNO how can we create the OData action. So first of all, this is the entity that I have already created, and if you see in the properties, this is the public collection name that we are using when we are fetching the data from the OData, right? So for the OData action, we just need to go into the methods and we click on new methods, and here we need to pass this is OData action. So here I'm passing one name is activity. And I am passing here two parameter, that is string activity ID hours. Okay. And here I will write the code for the update. Um, So here I am doing the like if so in when we run the Power Automate flow, we just need to pass the activity ID and hours. So based on the hours we have passed in the parameter, it will be reflected on the our activity table and it will get updated when we run the Power Automate flow. So let me just build it first. And here we need to pass the method name in a sys OData action attribute. Now my code is billing. So let's go back to the PPT. We'll till then we just go through the demonstration of OData action with Postman. So let me just share my screen. So we just gone through the how can we create OData actions in a data entity. So now we'll see the demonstration of OData with Postman. So let's just go back to the Postman. Here, first of all, we need to generate the authentication token. For that, you just need to select the post method, and in a header request, we need to pass this URL, and after that, we need to pass the tenant ID that we have generated through Azure portal. So from here, you can see this directory ID that is nothing but the tenant ID. So we will copy this ID and pass it to the postman. So here we pass the tenant ID and we need to pass OR2 and then token. And in the body pass, we need to pass the grant type as a value as a client credentials that then we need to pass the client ID that we have generated through Azure. We just copy that ID and pass it to here. Then we need to pass the client secret ID. So let me just pass. And the resource. So resource is nothing but the D365 URL. So now we just need to click on send. So you can see here the access token is getting generated. So now we'll create a one new request to get the data of the entity. Mm. So here I'm passing the D365 URL and by slashing it with data, and here we need to pass the public collection name of the data entity. And in the authorization, in a type we need to select barrier token, and in a token we just need to pass this access token which we have just generated. Yeah, so now we click on send.
Created one entity and facility evaluate another entity.
So here you can see in the output, right? All the data are getting populated here. So we are just getting the data from the data entity. So let's just go back to the PPT. We just gone through this OData with Postman, and now we'll see the demonstration of OData actions with Power Automate flow. So let's just go to the Power Automate flow. So here you just need to log in with your credentials, and at the left pane you can see the create button, right? So first of all we create the Power Automate flow. Here you can see the multiple flows are available, so you can select any of the flow based on your requirements. So here I'm selecting the instant cloud flow, and we pass in. So here we just click on manually trigger a flow and we'll create. And here we click on the news tab and we search for the finance and operation. You can see here finance operation. And here there were multiple actions that are available. So if you want to create a new record, then you can click on the create record. If you want to update the record, you just need to click on the update record. But here we are executing the OData action. So I am selecting the execute action. Here in instant, we need to pass the D365 URL. In action, we just pass the public collection name of our entity. So here you can see this two OData actions that I have created in my code. See activity mode and activity. It will actually it will take the time to load the OData actions in a Power Automate flow. So we'll run one OData action here, and here I'm selecting activity mode, and here we need to pass these two parameters. You can see in OData actions, I have passed the two parameters. So that is basically showing in a Power Automate flow. So here I'm taking 005 and hours as a 80 and we'll save. And then so now we'll click on the test and we select the manually and we click on test button and we click on continue. And now we will run the flow. Then you need to press on done. So you can see your flow runs successfully. So we'll go back to the FNO and we'll see whether the data is getting updated or not. So in a 005, I have passed the 80. So it will be getting updated over here. So you can see whatever hours I have passed through Power Automate Flow, it's getting updated in FNO. So now we'll see the flow for the create. Let me just go back. So here, like you can create any OData actions and you can run any of the OData actions by using this flow. So now we'll just go back to the PPT. And now we'll see how we can perform CRUD operation with Power Automate flow. We just go back to the Power Automate. So here I have created the Power Automate flow for the create, delete, update. So we'll go through one by one. So first of all, we go through create. So in a edit, in a create, we need to click on the create record. And here in a company, we pass the company, then we create the record as a 007 in activity ID. And you can see here all the fields that are available in your table. So now we'll save it. And at the left, at top of the right, we just click on test. Then we need to click on manually, then test, and we'll run the flow. So done. So here you can see your flow ran successfully. So now we'll see in FNO whether the 007 record is created or not. So we'll do that. So you can see the 007 is record is getting created. Now we'll update the record. So we just gone through this update. So here you can see you just need to pass the object ID that so object ID is nothing but the primary index of your table. So my primary index is activity ID. So I'm passing the activity ID. Then we need to pass the company ID, and here you can see all the fields that are available in our table. So I am just updating the name of the 007 activity ID is a test. Earlier that was webinar. So we'll see after running the flow. So we'll paste it. Paste and need to run the flow. And it's done. So now your flow ran successfully. So we'll check in FNO. So that is webinar. So we need to we have just updated as a test. So you can see it's getting updated as a test. So now we'll see for the delete. So here in a delete, we just need to pass the object ID that I have told. That is nothing but the primary index of our table. So I'm passing 007 and the company name and we'll save it. And we'll test manually test. And we'll just run the flow. So your flow ran successfully. So we'll check in FNO. So you can see 007 record is get deleted. And so how we can perform this CRUD operation through Power Automate flow. And lastly, I just want to showcase you one more flow for the FNO data list. So in a list, here we pass the entity name and here we can pass the query. So I'm passing the data area ID is equals to USMF. So I'm getting the data of USMF and here you can pass any of the filter as a top is equals to 2 and skip count is equals to true. And you can also pass the select query cross company whatever filter you want, you can just pass it over here in a list and we just save it and we'll see the output. So now we'll test it. Paste on the flow. Yeah. So here we just need to click to download to see the output. So in the output, we are getting the activity ID 004 and 005 because in the top we have passed the 2 and we are skipping the 3 records. So we just get this 004 and 005. And if you see in the output, we are just getting 3 field name that is activity ID, name and hours because in a select clause we have just passed this field name. So yeah. So let me just go back to PPT. So we have just shown here CRUD operations with Power Automate flow. Yeah, that's it from my end. Thank you. Any questions?
Hello everyone. So now we are moving to the question and answer forum of the webinar session. So if you have any questions, you can please let us know. Yes, Krupa, there is one question.
Okay. What if I need to create or update 1000 records? So for that, you just need to write the OData actions for the update method.
Hello, hi Krupa. Shiva this said.
Hello.
Yeah, Krupa. I have a doubt. Like, see,
Hmm.
now we are creating or updating records
Hmm.
based on what values we give. If we have some kind of file or something else from the third party,
Hmm.
so how are we going to do? For that also, we need to write some flow to pick up the file and pick up the records from that particular file. Let that be JSON file or XML file, whatever it may be. Can you
Hmm.
demonstrate regarding such
Yeah.
things?
Yeah. So, hello. Yeah, I cannot demonstrate, but I can see you can pass the JSON file as a JSON pass and you can get the data.
Can you show us how to pass that JSON file through Power Automate?
Uh, I cannot do the demonstration right now for the JSON pass.
No, no, I'm not asking you to demonstrate with the file. If you can help us showing the way to do it, that would be helpful for us.
Okay.
Also, like another question is like in case if see in the third party application there if there should be if there is something like the data flow should be continuous like every 1 hour or every I mean 2 days a day 3 days a day if the data flow should be continuous what should be the action taken it should be it cannot be do it it cannot be done manually right testing it or something which cannot be done manually it should be automated right what are the
Yeah.
core principles
Just a
which you
minute. So first of all, let me just show you the how you can pass the JSON as a Power Automate flow, and then we'll move this, and then we'll move to this question.
okay Krupa.
Yeah.
Okay, I see that there are a lot of questions in the chat as well. So I would like to assure everybody that we do have a bit of time limitation. So once we showcase what Krupa is going to showcase, you can put your questions down in the chat and we'll surely get back to you and answer those questions.
So here you can see my screen, right? So here you need to pass the content, and here you need to pass the schema of your JSON file. And by clicking on the new step, that will ask for the details that you want to pass.
Okay.
And once you pass the JSON, and then whatever the field in that JSON, you will be showcase here, right? You can see my screen here. You can see all the fields that are available in that JSON.
Okay.
Okay, thank you everybody for your questions. We are running short of time, but we'll definitely answer your questions in the chat below. I would really like to thank you for coming and supporting us in our webinar today. I would also like to request you to follow our page for more webinars that we'll be doing in future. I would like to thank you everybody and have a wonderful day.